All my books about the subtle realms, in which I revealed the genuine truth about the universe and about God, were burned, said the eminent Soviet physicist and doctor of sciences Viktor Veynik with deep bitterness when speaking about his works. And this was not an exaggeration but the plain truth. In September 1969, a decree was issued for the confiscation and destruction of his book titled Thermodynamics. Every copy was removed from libraries and destroyed by incineration. This event was not only a sad chapter in the history of science but also a symbol of the lack of understanding and fear of new ideas. One of the physicist's colleagues at the time commented with wry irony, "It's fortunate that today they only burn books and not their authors." To this, the book's author responded with a quote from Giordano Bruno, "To burn does not mean to refute." Such an attitude toward his works raises numerous questions. What exactly was so dangerous in that book and in his discoveries that demanded their complete eradication? Which findings were so inconvenient to the scientific community that they were deemed a threat? The answer lies in the content of his scientific writings. The author developed theories and made discoveries that, in his view, not only proved the existence of God and other realms but also provided a scientific basis for mystical phenomena. In an era when materialism dominated the scientific landscape, such perspectives were seen as a challenge to the established system. They called into question the fundamental premises of the scientific approach of that time and threatened the worldview status quo. His works combined rigorous science with philosophy, offering a view of physical phenomena through the lens of spirituality and metaphysics. Such an approach could have changed not only our perception of the nature of reality but also prompted a reevaluation of many dogmas on which the scientific and societal consciousness of that period was built. For many scientists who held strictly materialistic views, this turn of events was unacceptable. Veynik asserted that each of us is accompanied by numerous spirits, including a house spirit. However, the educated public tends to be skeptical of such claims, dismissing them as fairy tales from priests and grandmothers, mere ravings and fables. Yet science, according to him, proves otherwise. In one interview, Viktor Veynik was asked, "You have repeatedly stated that you believe in the existence of a subtle world. How do you envision it?" The scientist replied that when it comes to the subtle world, the term belief is inappropriate. After all, when the discussion concerns scientific discoveries, one must speak of knowledge rather than belief. Over the course of numerous experiments, Viktor Veynik used various instruments to detect the presence and activities of spirits. He claimed that the existence of the so-called subtle human body could be recorded using simple tools such as a frame, dowsing rod, and a photograph. One of his experiments involved using people's photos to assess their life status. Veynik hypothesized that photos taken at any age continue to emit particles invisible to the eye, which he called chronons. His theory proposed that chronons are carriers of a certain energy whose characteristics can indicate a person's viability. By measuring the emissions of a photograph, if the chronons carry a positive charge, this signifies that the person is alive. If they carry a negative charge, it indicates that the person is deceased. These studies aroused both curiosity and skepticism. Veynik believed his discovery shed light on the existence of humanity's subtle, immaterial nature, which contemporary scientific methods have not yet been able to fully investigate. He linked this phenomenon to manifestations of another reality, one beyond ordinary perception. For Veynik, this was not merely scientific curiosity but also proof that there is a spiritual component to a human being that remains active even after physical death. His ideas opened new horizons for research not only in physics but also in biology and metaphysics. However, due to his non-traditional approach and the contradictions with mainstream science, he often faced harsh criticism and even ridicule. His work became yet another example of how scientists who swim against the current meet resistance, despite the potential of their ideas to transform humanity's self-understanding. Through his experiments, Veynik sought to show that the boundaries of science are far from being exhausted. In his remarkable discoveries capable of overturning our views on life, death, and the nature of reality, Viktor Veynik frequently cited an example he believed conclusively confirmed the existence of a subtle world. One day, he received a phone call from the wife of a childhood friend, who informed him that her husband was in critical condition in the intensive care unit. Unable to be near his friend in person, Veynik made use of his dowsing rods and the friend's photograph. By evening, the scientist detected a negative coronal emission from the photo, which, according to his theory, indicated that the man had died. Yet the next morning, he took additional measurements and was surprised to find that the emission had become positive again. It later emerged that the previous night, Veynik's friend had experienced clinical death, but doctors managed to bring him back. Veynik saw this incident as proof of his theory regarding the subtle body, as well as evidence that the human soul continues to exist even in those critical moments between life and death. He claimed his methods could capture not only the physical but also the spiritual state of a person, thus opening new perspectives on human nature. According to the physicist, we are surrounded by an invisible, subtle world that is even denser than the visible one. It is inhabited by hosts of good and evil spirits. The former always act for our benefit, behaving modestly and without intrusion. The latter, on the contrary, are aggressive and inventive. They assist people in small matters in order to seize what is most important. Viktor Veynik maintained that all anomalous phenomena encountered by humans have an explanation within the spiritual realm. He believed these phenomena are generated by what he called evil spirits, forces acting from an unseen dimension. Among such phenomena, the scientist included poltergeists, levitation, witchcraft, and other mysterious occurrences that defy logical explanation from the standpoint of classical science. Veynik warned of the danger in seeking help from healers, magicians, and sorcerers who offer their services to treat illnesses or solve life's problems. He believed these individuals interact with dark forces, providing only temporary aid. In his view, such intervention merely creates the illusion of relief. Soon enough, the ailment or problem returns with greater severity. This is due, according to Veynik, to the dark spirits attracted by these methods, which continue to afflict a person, intensifying their suffering. The scientist saw such phenomena as a serious threat to the spiritual and physical health of individuals. He advised avoiding any contact with the occult and maintained that true help and healing can only be found through turning to God and adhering to spiritual principles. Veynik emphasized that the spiritual world is no less real than the physical one, and interacting with it demands caution and accountability. According to him, spirits live eternally, outside time and space. They are omnipresent, and it is impossible to hide from them because they exist everywhere. They know our past and our future, possess enormous energy, and can influence our consciousness, physical condition, and health. Viktor Veynik asserted that human life is closely tied to the subtle world, which invisibly affects our thoughts, emotions, and actions. In his words, a person is like a vessel that becomes filled with influences from the unseen realm. These influences can come from good spirits, prompting us toward worthy and righteous deeds, or from evil spirits, pushing us to destructive emotions, actions, and moral decline. Such a worldview can be alarming, for it reveals how susceptible human beings are to external forces of which they are often unaware. Nonetheless, Veynik stressed that within this apparent vulnerability lies great power. Each of us has free will, enabling us to decide which influences we follow and which path we choose, good or evil. In his opinion, free will is not merely a right but a tremendous responsibility. The influences of the subtle world cannot fully control a person if that person is aware of their actions and strives for spiritual growth. Achieving this requires continual effort, self-reflection, overcoming negative emotions, and conscious decision-making. Veynik believed that the struggle between good and evil takes place not only on a global scale but also in each individual's heart, and that personal choice determines not only one's own destiny but also the overall state of the world. Moreover, he cautioned that choosing evil or remaining passive in moments of moral testing makes a person more vulnerable to malevolent influences. By contrast, aspiring to spiritual values, righteousness, and faith fortifies one's defenses against evil, making an individual stronger and freer. Indeed, the spirits a person attracts are determined by their thoughts and lifestyle, whether consciously or unconsciously. People can open channels of communication with the subtle world, which is why its manifestations do not appear to everyone. For instance, a poltergeist does not attach itself to just anyone but to specific individuals, those who dabble in various forms of fortune-telling or paranormal abilities. In cases where a poltergeist becomes attached to a child, the parents are often held responsible. It is worth mentioning that children under the age of 7, as well as animals, are highly sensitive to entities from the subtle realm. Professor Veynik cites several examples of such manifestations. One of them is from his personal life. On one occasion, Viktor Veynik decided to conduct an experiment involving material linked to anomalous phenomena. Secretly, he brought home a small pouch of soil taken from a location where inexplicable events had been observed and temporarily hid it atop a wardrobe. He distinctly remembered this incident because of his 2-year-old grandson's unusual reaction. Typically, the child was eager to visit his grandfather, but that day everything was different. At the threshold, the grandson resisted vigorously, and they barely managed to carry him into the hallway. As soon as he was inside, the boy pointed his finger toward the wardrobe, where the pouch of soil was hidden, and through tears, repeated the word "yucky" 3 times. The episode made a strong impression on Veynik. He noted that the child's reaction was direct and emotional, as if the child sensed something invisible to adults. The scientist interpreted this incident as confirmation of his theory about the subtle realms and their influence, believing that children have greater sensitivity to such energies, which can be incomprehensible to most. For him, it was further proof that anomalous occurrences and the materials associated with them do indeed possess invisible yet tangible properties. This served as evidence that the subtle world not only exists but also interacts with us, sometimes revealing itself in the most unexpected situations. Viktor Veynik shares yet another case that occurred during an experiment involving a séance with a saucer and an alphabet circle. During the process, a dog was lying under the table. Without any apparent reason, the animal became agitated, began to growl, and its fur stood on end. Veynik proposed that the dog sensed the approach of some entity from the subtle world. Viktor Veynik warned that contact with evil spirits typically leads to tragic consequences. A person may become ill, lose their mind, and so on. Yet, he believed that those who follow the path of goodness are reliably protected by benevolent, powerful spirits. It is worth noting that the physicist did not immediately turn to scientific study of mysticism. In the beginning, Veynik refused to believe in the Creator and ridiculed any attempts to link science with spirituality. But one experience in the hospital radically transformed his views on life and death. In 1992, due to health reasons, he was admitted for a medical examination. Sharing his ward was an elderly priest suffering from lung cancer, who was visibly weakening by the day but radiated kindness and goodwill. The physicist described the situation thus: "This old man patiently listened to my speeches, which I thought sounded quite intelligent. Sometimes he spoke about his difficult life, about God, and about the forces of darkness and light that are constantly at war for our souls. And you know what? It all started to sound familiar to me. Then I realized this is exactly what I've been studying: my subtle world entities. Not long ago, I had finished a series of experiments where I identified these entities' charges, either positive or negative. I rushed to read the Bible and was stunned to see the same entities described there. The old man began to persuade me to be baptized in church and to repent, promising that my illness would retreat. By that time, my tests were over, and the doctors suspected the worst." The scientist decided to follow the priest's advice. When he first crossed the threshold of a church, he felt dizzy, collapsed on the floor, and hit the back of his head. The blow was so severe that they had to call an ambulance. After that, he never went to church without someone accompanying him. Over time, he admitted, "Believe it or not, my illness gradually began to subside. The weakness I had grown used to disappeared. I came back to life." Later that same year, at the age of 73, Viktor Veynik was baptized. Reflecting on his experiences, he said, "Now I am intensely studying the Holy Scriptures, and the more I immerse myself, the more I find parallels between the foundations of my theory and what these books convey. I'm beginning to suspect that I might have received all my theories from above. Otherwise, why would all the forces of orthodox science have turned against me?" In theoretical and experimental terms, he continued, it has been established that subtle and ultrasubtle realms and entities exist in nature. In biblical texts, the entities of the first type are called souls, and those of the second type spirits. The Bible also asserts that there are two kinds of spirits, distinguished by how they interact with human beings: spirits of good and spirits of evil. According to his theory of the subtle world, our universe is divided into levels. We live in the macro world, the tangible material realm of time and space, which he called the chronometrical realm. Within the macro world lies the micro world of electrons, atoms, and molecules. Beyond it begins submicro realms. In the subtle realms, there are not only chronal entities, those dependent on time, i.e. eternal, but also entities outside of space, as well as those that simultaneously exist beyond both time and space. For us, living as we do within time and space, it is extremely difficult to envision them. Admittedly, it is tough to imagine entities dwelling in multiple time frames at once, and even harder to grasp something that is present everywhere and seems smeared throughout our world. Yet we all must grow accustomed to the idea that such entities belonging to different subtle realms exist in nearly every point of our world. Another manifestation of the subtle world is the poltergeist, which, according to the scientist, can appear in a wide variety of forms. Most often, poltergeist activity is observed in homes or nearby, in the form of various noises, objects moving or falling without contact, and many other incidents too numerous to list. Poltergeist phenomena do not interact with everyone, but usually with those trying to establish contact with the subtle realm. In 1977, during one of his lectures on this theory, Viktor Veynik was asked a question that touched on the very foundation of his scientific worldview. A member of the audience asked if there was room for a creator, a maker of all that exists within his theory. The physicist's response surprised many. Veynik declared that, after extensive and strictly scientific research, he had arrived at an unequivocal conclusion: the creator truly does exist. For him, this statement was not merely a philosophical conviction, but rather the result of his analyses and observations, which he felt confirmed the presence of a higher intelligence behind the structure of the universe. Veynik believed that the world was too intricate and orderly to be the outcome of a random, chaotic process. The laws of nature, the harmony of the physical world, and the existence of spiritual dimensions that he studied all pointed him toward the plan of a great creator. This response evoked a strong reaction from the audience. For some, it was inspiring evidence of a possible synthesis of science and religion. For others, it was a challenge to the conventional notion that science must remain separate from matters of faith. However, for Veynik himself, faith and science were not mutually exclusive. He held that true science not only fails to contradict the idea of God, but actually helps us gain a deeper understanding of the divine design by examining the laws that govern our world.